Hi everybody, Andrew Cherin, attorney at law here. I'm a personal injury lawyer in Seattle, Washington, and I represent people who are injured in car accidents. Today I'm excited to bring to you another edition of my video blog. In today's episode, I want to talk to you about pedestrian accidents. If you're a pedestrian and you're hit by a car, you have a personal injury claim against the driver of that car. Obviously, there's some liability issues sometimes depending on where you were hit. If you were hit in a crosswalk, if you're hit at an unmarked or marked crosswalk, especially you have especially the right of way in those situations usually. Sometimes there's a little bit of liability issues in those, especially if you jump off the curb all of a sudden and you hit really near the curb. If you're in the middle of the intersection and you're hit, most likely there's going to be less problems and less ability for the other person to argue that. But the closer to the curb you are, the more likely they're going to try to argue that you jumped in front of them and they had no reasonable notice. That doesn't mean that your claim's gone or that you don't have a case, but it just makes it a little bit tougher at that point. Often people that are injured in pedestrian accidents are severely injured. Usually you go to the hospital, you're lucky if you don't have a broken bone or require some kind of surgery, because it's 5,000 or 10,000 pound car against you with no safety mechanisms to protect you. In those cases, medical bills are very high, and so paying for those medical bills can be very tough. So how do you pay for those medical bills? Good thing is you have a couple of options. So normally when there's a car accident injury case, you don't recover or you can't use the claim number for the defendant, the car that hit you. You can't use their claim number. It's just the way it works. They're not going to pay you as you go for your medical treatment and all the medical bills. As you accumulate them and get back to normal, they're just going to do one lump sum settlement. They'll try to push you into that settlement early and often. You should wait until you're fully healed to even approach the settlement negotiations, especially without a lawyer. Don't take that money early. The next thing that you want to do to find coverage. So when you're hit by someone and you're a pedestrian, you get personal injury protection from the driver of that car. Normally you don't get that. There's only a couple situations where you get personal injury protection from a defendant insured. And those are if you're a pedestrian or you're a passenger in a car. So if you're a pedestrian, you actually are going to be able to have a separate claim number. It should be separate, and you're going to get a PIP benefit application package, which is going to ask you how you were injured, sign these documents giving us access to your medical records. So you should do that. They'll keep those files separate. They should keep the defense claim file separate from the PIP, basically your insurance at that point file. Even though it comes from the same insurance company, they're required to keep those separate. So you can use that PIP, application benefit claim number, but you can't use the third party. Normally most people have PIP insurance, so you get that, and there's some situations where there's no insurance where you won't get that PIP. And in that case, you have a couple other options. At that point, you could possibly use your own PIP. If you have PIP insurance on another auto policy, you can use your medical bills. You can treat on a lien, which is you can make an arrangement with the medical facility to have them bill you at the end once the settlement's over. Normally they probably won't give you that unless you have an attorney involved. They will sign off and say, where there's a car accident case, injury case here, we'll pay you out of the settlement and we'll guarantee that. If you do it on your own, you may find a little bit of resistance. With an attorney, we can usually do that for sure. So your options are using PIP, medical insurance, or treat on a lien. So wait until the settlement and then pay them back for all the medical bills that you've accrued from a car accident injury case, which could be a lot if you're a pedestrian. Like I said, those injuries are very tough. So at that point, you're gonna go through the whole settlement process once you're fully healed, and you're gonna push for the most settlement you can with the medical bills that you have when you're fully healed. Don't do that before that point. Don't worry about you don't think you can afford to pay off all these medical bills. Get them on a lien or hire an attorney to represent you to walk you through the whole process. The biggest thing is that you're healed and back to normal and you get the treatment you need. No point, skimping on the medical treatment and then not getting fully healed. You only have one life, and you're only have one body. So get fully healed. Don't settle early for a couple $1,000s. go through the whole process and get the most out of it. Once you settle, you're not going to be able to get any more money out of it. They're not going to give you future treatment costs. It's just not going to work like that unless you have severe injuries where in certain situations you can negotiate that. Most cases don't require future medical treatment, so they're not going to add that for most cases. Now, if you are paralyzed or you suffered severe traumatic injuries, that's another case. I hope you guys have found this very informative. And if you have any questions, I give free consultations. My number is 206-850-6716. And if you want more information, you can find me online, www.lawcherin.com. A lot of great articles. I wrote a book that you can download for free that I'm going to post on Amazon eventually for sale. And there's a lot of great resources throughout all that. So hope you found this helpful.